The following program, Live and Learn, is made possible by Aging Partners. Find out more on their website.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Masters. Did you know that Lincoln is preparing to be an age-friendly community? Joining us today are two leaders behind this initiative, Randy Jones, Director of Aging Partners, and Todd Stubbendieck, the State Director for AARP Nebraska. Stay tuned.
Hello everyone and welcome to Live and Learn. I'm your host, Jerry Renaud. We have a very, very special segment for you today. We want to talk to you about all of the scams that are being perpetrated by criminals out there. Our special guest is Ryan Sothan, the Outreach Coordinator at the Nebraska Department of Justice in the Office of the Attorney General. It's going to be fascinating. Don't go away.
This and more on today's Live and Learn.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Masters and welcome to Live and Learn. It is my great pleasure to have two leaders behind the Age-Friendly Lincoln Initiative with us today. Joining me, Randy Jones, Director of Aging Partners, and Todd Stubbendieck, the State Director for AARP Nebraska. Gentlemen, welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you, Julie.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're so glad that you can be part of Live and Learn today and to talk about this really exciting news. So, before we get too far down the road, Randy, can you talk about this idea of age-friendly? Because we know it's used to describe things such as hospitals and businesses, even universities. UNO
Sure.
is an age-friendly university. But what does age-friendly mean, and especially for aging partners and the people you serve?
Sure. Well, we need to take a moment as we talk about or look into city design or the services that a community has, or what our churches or what our organizations have to provide to seniors. And we need to be looking at how we can adapt those things to a senior environment. The number of seniors in our community is growing significantly, and over the next 10 years, 20% of our population will be seniors. And so if we can do that, we can make it age-friendly for all ages by making it age-friendly for seniors. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's walkability, maybe that's access, maybe it's in the taking into account hearing loss and eyesight loss, and a lot of number of factors that affect our seniors in the community.
Absolutely.
What that does to aging partners is, of course, this is our key population that we focus our services on. And we constantly evaluate our programs and ask, how can we do a better job in terms of serving seniors in the place that they are at? So this will be really beneficial to us too.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So Todd, the Network of Age-Friendly States and Communities initiative is something that AARP has been involved in since 2012, so it's not a new idea to AARP, certainly to Nebraska. How many age-friendly communities are there in the U.S., and can you talk a little bit about their accomplishments?
Yeah. There are now, with Lincoln, 846 age-friendly states and communities throughout the U.S., so this is a very extensive network of communities that have sort of said, we want to become more age-friendly and we want to do this community-driven process to become more age-friendly. And each has their own story and each has taken their own unique approach to it. A couple of things that I can talk about in different states of different approaches that they've taken, and Lincoln will take their own approach and decide on the things that they want to work on. But for example, in Des Moines, they teamed with AARP Iowa and did a pop-up demonstration project of bike lanes, and that helped spur a long-term transportation plan in their community that was age-friendly in nature. Carlsbad, New Mexico, they did a survey of their parks and found that their parks didn't necessarily have a real good intergenerational feel to it, and they also found a deficit for children with disabilities. So they created a park specifically designed to accommodate the needs of kids with disabilities, but included some age-friendly aspects to it so that it could be more intergenerational, a place where grandparents could take their grandkids to do. The other example that I think is really interesting is Portland, Maine. they engaged their business community, and they created a city-approved age-friendly designation for businesses. So if the business went through the checklist and did all the things about accommodations and accessibility, they could become a certified age-friendly business in Portland, Maine, that they were able then to advertise and talk about. So I think what's great about the network is it's 846 communities now, with Lincoln being a strong member of the network, that can share ideas, that can collaborate, that can talk about best practices and things that work for them. And so while the City of Lincoln will choose its own path and choose its own areas to focus based on what the community says is important to them, there's a great network of support out there with great ideas that they can pursue as well.
Todd, thank you. And now, as the state director of AARP Nebraska, you lead all your members for AARP. How do you think that the age-friendly initiative can benefit them, can benefit the state overall?
Yeah, Randy said it before. I think what's great about age-friendly is that it makes a community better for all people of all ages. AARP focuses on folks that are 50 plus. And so as we make these changes in a community that makes it more age-friendly, we're going to make it better for folks that are 50. We're also going to make it better for folks that are 25 as well, as we look at ways to make improvements to transportation, to make it more accessible, as we look at how do we have more age-appropriate, age-friendly housing options. Those are all things that benefit all of us in a community.
So you think about a state like Nebraska with so many different communities and towns that have a fairly large aging population, and yet Lincoln was chosen. Why was Lincoln chosen? What makes Lincoln an attractive place?
Well, I think Lincoln was chosen because Lincoln raised its hand and said, we want to do this.
Okay.
This is an opportunity that's open to any community that wants to join the network. And I give great credit to Mayor Leary and Gaylor Baird and Randy and the folks in the community for saying, we really want to embrace quality of life, and we think that this network of age-friendly states and community opportunity to have this community process will help with that quality of life for all Lincolnites.
I like that, quality of life for Lincolnites. Are there any other communities in Nebraska that have the age-friendly designation?
There's one. The city of Grand Island
Okay.
became a member in 2018. So they've done their process, they've done their action plan, they've executed their action plan, they've done their updated report. And I'll just give one example. They really leaned into the issue of housing and making sure there was affordable, age-friendly housing. And so they combined, I think, both some state and some federal money to create a fund that they can offer some low-interest loan to builders who want to do housing projects. So again, showing that sort of breadth of areas in which a community can say, hey, that's where we want to focus our work and do work to make ourselves more age-friendly.
It seems that age-friendly communities make people that might be ordinarily visible because of the attention that's given. So 2024 marks an exciting time for Lincoln and its aging citizens with the Age-Friendly Initiative. So from your vantage point, and I thought it was so powerful when Todd said, you raised your hand. Lincoln raised its hand and said, we want to be part of this. So can you tell us why now? Why Lincoln and why now?
We've got a perfect opportunity with our mayor. She is very focused on building the quality of life in Lincoln to an even higher level. And Lincoln is already a great place to live. But knowing that priority, this program really appealed to her, and she's made it one of her priorities for the coming term. And so that provides a lot of strength to our ability to make this happen. And so it's great timing. And it's also good timing from the standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, the growth of seniors in our community. It's something we need to do for the benefit of everyone.
So from a gerontological standpoint, when we look at measures of well-being, quality of life plays into that frequently, and you've both talked about quality of life and how important that is. So 2024 couldn't be a better time. I'm wondering, Randy, you've formed a steering committee of people from different areas across the city representing different organizations. Can you talk about the different levels of expertise, or the areas, not levels necessarily, but the areas of expertise on the committee, and why were these areas selected?
A good question. You know, we want to have a real powerful outcome, and we just concluded our first steering committee today, and I was very impressed with the value that each of those members brings to the discussion. We have several department directors with the city, and when I think about changing infrastructure, adapting planning to meet senior needs, these are the people that have the influence to be able to make that happen. So they're a strong part of this committee. So we have government, we have representation from social service agencies, from Food Bank, and from Community Action Partnership, and from the Good Neighbor Center. They're connected to seniors in different areas of the community, and it's important that we get those folks' needs in mind as we develop our plans. So they're well connected in their communities and will add great value.
Excellent. When you think about the role of the Area Agency on Aging and AARP as well, this idea of bringing together different groups to support people as they age, and yet you've really expanded this with the steering committee.
Well, you know, we normally think of, in terms of seniors, we often think of gerontology, where academia that you represent, and you're on the steering committee. Thank you for doing that. And we also think of long-term care facilities, and we have that representation. But we don't always think about how aging impacts all aspects of the community. And so that's why the steering committee is very diverse in terms of its reach.
Well, and we know that as people age, they become more different as they age. So the heterogeneity of aging certainly is reflected in the steering committee makeup that you've helped to establish.
It is.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. So Randy, what are some of the steps that Aging Partners and the steering committee will be taking to advance age-friendly Lincoln?
Well, our first step is to really gather information from the community and get community input on what is an age-friendly community to the citizens of Lincoln. What are some of the challenges that they face when they try to access services?
Right.
Or what is their vision of how we can even do better at serving the needs of seniors? So we're conducting a survey. AARP has designed a survey that we are now putting out digitally and also in paper form that will receive that feedback. And the way to access that survey digitally is through aarp.org, and then that's a /NE. It's a quick survey, and the steering committee will be evaluating that, but we'll also be looking at other aspects of the community planning process, such as the community health assessment, the comprehensive plan, to see how those address aging issues. All this information will be pulled together, and then we will take a facilitated process to reach the citizens in all areas of the community to gather their feedback on what we're seeing and add further value to our evaluation. That's when the real hard work starts, is then the steering committee needs to set some priorities, and we envision 3 to 4 general topical areas to focus on, and then we'll create an action plan to make that happen.
So again, if people want to access that survey, they can go to aarp.org/NE for Nebraska.
Yes.
And I believe they can also go to the Aging Partners website if for some reason that is the website they tend to go to. They'll also see a link to the survey.
The survey is also available in Spanish.
Excellent.
As well.
Okay.
And for someone who would prefer to fill out a paper survey, they can pick up a paper survey at Aging Partners.
And to your primary office, or can they also pick it up at a senior center?
Our senior centers also have those,
okay.
yes.
Is this limited to then Lincoln, Lancaster, not necessarily other senior centers, so they can pick it up?
Lincoln, Lancaster County would be our focus, yes.
All
and
right.
we're targeting the survey on persons age 45 and older.
So 45, you think, wow, 45, really? And yet, Todd, what do you think about that age, starting at 45?
Well, you know, AARP focuses on people that are 50 and older, and what the city is building here with this age-friendly is for the long term. So I hate to break it to people that are 45, but eventually they're also going to be in this demographic as well. So this is not a short-term, easy fix solution. So let's get the views of people that are 45 and older of what they want the community to be as they continue to age in place here in Lincoln. What I suspect we're going to find is that Lincoln is already doing a whole bunch of things that are age-friendly out there. And I think that this process will help infuse a discussion of age-friendly issues in the many things that the city of Lincoln is already doing, connecting those dots, connecting people to say, oh yeah, this is making us more age-friendly. So I think there's a lot of stuff already happening in the city that is age-friendly, and bringing all these folks, it's an amazing steering committee, bringing all these folks together and helping connect those dots and move things forward is exciting for the city.
It's exciting for the city, and it's also for anyone who might be a little hesitant about aging. I think what they'll discover is through the Age-Friendly Lincoln Initiative, aging actually is a great thing as well, and it's just the opportunities that will be realized because of this initiative are just terrific. So we only have a few moments left, but I want to get your thoughts, and a question that I always ask our guests is, you know, what gives you hope? And maybe hope as it relates to the Age-Friendly Initiative. What gives you hope? And Todd, we'll start with you, and then we'll move to Randy.
I was hoping you'd go to Randy first. I was going to steal his answer. So, what gives me hope in the age? I mean, for me, it's seeing the connections that in the steering committee we just came from. Seeing those connections, seeing people who are smart and good and who love this city say, oh yeah, what about this? What about this? Those connections, getting people to think about this, that is what gives me hope that there are so many really smart, dedicated, mission-driven folks that want to see Lincoln continue to grow and be a great city. It gives me great hope for the future.
Absolutely, I agree. Just really smart people around the table.
What gives me hope is that the examples that were given at our steering committee today from our Parks and Rec director, for example, or from our planning director, who shared some ways that they're already incorporating age-friendly ideas into their planning. I think that means we don't have to convince them that this is a good idea. In many cases, they're already doing it.
Well said, and I think for the two of you and your leadership and your enthusiasm and excitement is just what this particular initiative needs, right? To be able to take this to the next level. So thank you both very much for being part of Live and Learn today. Greatly appreciate your input. And for our listeners, remember, it's never too late to live and learn.
Aging Partners has relocated to Victory Park, 600 South 70th Street, just east of the old VA hospital. Follow the signs around the south part of the building complex and enter under the Aging Partners sign on the east side of the facility. The new fitness center is equipped with state-of-the-art cardio and fitness equipment. Caseworkers and resource specialists are available to assist you with a variety of aging issues. Enjoy a hot lunchtime meal and engage with others in a variety of activities. Aging Partners, now at Victory Park.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Live and Learn. I am your host, Jerry Renaud. Probably every day, most of you get a phone call, or you get a text message, or an email, or perhaps even something comes through the regular mail that is asking for something that seems too good to be true. And of course, it is too good to be true. It is somebody looking for your money, and it's going to cost you some dollars, and it's going to cost you probably some embarrassment. We would like to try and help you not let that happen. So we have a wonderful guest today. It is Ryan Sothan, and you have this great title, so I want to make sure I get it right. You are the Outreach Coordinator at the Nebraska Department of Justice in the Office of the Attorney General. My, that's impressive. Welcome, Ryan. Thank you so much for being here.
I enjoy our segments together, Jerry. Thank you for having me.
It is something that costs people a lot of money, and I know you've got some figures. I mean, it's astronomical of what these scams cost the general public.
Indeed it is, and it depends on your universe and your yardstick. And I think for this viewing audience, what we're concerned about is what is the damage done within the state of Nebraska. And within the state, we're looking at roughly $24 million annually lost to these professional scam artists, with the average loss per victim right in that $550 range. Now, good news there is that median amount lost of $550 is at least $100 less than our neighboring states. And furthermore, the 24 million, though that is a significant number, still positions Nebraska quite favorably versus its other states in terms of we're 47th overall out of the 50 states in terms of fraud complaints and losses per 1,000 population. So we're trending in a positive direction, although the concern still remains one of underreporting,
Right.
that the incurred rate of fraud is much greater than the reported rate, and I'm only talking about reported numbers here.
Right. It's embarrassing to say that you have lost this money or you've given it to somebody else. We want to really try to help people today. So what we're going to do is we're going to encourage people to have maybe a sheet of paper or a pen or a pencil or something. We're going to give them some phone numbers. We're going to give them some other kinds of tips. One of those tips that we really want to give them, and you gave this tip to me, and I thought it was one of the best things ever, and that is how to block unwanted callers on your text phone. So we're going to encourage you to get your phone. If you need to pause the program, that's fine, but then we're going to take some time a little bit later in the program. We're going to take people through how they can block those callers and even download some apps that will help them even more so.
Excellent. I think they'll enjoy that. They should benefit as you benefited. Thank you.
Yes, very good. Okay, so let's talk about some of the specific scams that I'm sure people will recognize. The one that I do want to spend a little time with, because you had mentioned it really is on the rise, and it just makes my blood boil, and that is the romance scams, that people are taking advantage of loneliness and people that would like to have some kind of a companion. Where are we in the romance scam out there?
Romance scams are a perfect example of an imposter scam where someone pretends to be someone that they're not. And when it comes to romance scams, why I'm especially concerned is that a number of these are elevated to my attention for personal engagement and involvement. And years ago, when they were brought to my attention, the losses were in the low four-figure range. It could be $1,500 to $5,000 loss, still significant. But today, nearly 10 years later, it's 10 times that amount as a minimum threshold. Looking at losses of the 50,000 plus, even bordering into the six-figure range.
Wow.
So we are concerned because, first and foremost, the stigma attached to filling out a profile and submitting it to any of the numerous online dating services, that's been removed. Society itself, perhaps members of your own family, your circle of friends are encouraging you to fill out that profile. They might even help you. They'll take the picture. They'll do the post. What will happen is that you're going to find that you get an immediate response. And in that immediate response, the first telltale sign is what we call love bombing. And love bombing has become a term because it is so frequent in these types of scam, where someone professes their immediate attention, affection, their ardor. And that's designed to disengage, to flatter the individual. I say disengage, I mean to disarm through flattery.
Should that be the first warning sign for people if it happens that quickly?
It should be the first warning, but many times, because of what you mentioned in terms of the isolation, the loneliness, the depression, factors that COVID only exacerbated, we long to hear these things. So watch out for that fast profession of affection. Secondly, typically these relationships are going to lead to some type of meeting, as they should. But prior to the meeting, though this is Nebraska, the good life, I would like our audience to pretend for a moment that they're from Missouri, the show me state. Show me your face. It is not an unusual request. nor should you feel self-conscious about asking this online paramour to engage in a video conference, whether it's through FaceTime on a smartphone, through Skype, an app that they can download, or through Zoom, a third-party client that we're all familiar with thanks to COVID. You should be able to engage in a video conference. The online person will always have an excuse as to why they cannot. That should be a red flag. Then the third and final is be on the lookout for a request for money. They're going to give you a hard luck story in terms of why they can't or have to postpone this eventual meeting that you've been planning for so long to redirect funds to address this online emergency, be it something that's happened to them personally, within their family, within their business, or other. But now you, if you're the victim, are so engaged, so enamored of the potential in this relationship that you might volunteer to help. That's exactly what they're seeking. And the help will typically come in some form of money request. And be careful of the type, not only the request itself, but the type of money request. It could be through a digital payment system like PayPal. Increasingly, it's been through digital payments with curious names like Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. If they're asking for those type of payments, absolutely be on guard, because you likely are going to lose that money and lose it permanently.
Right. Now, most of the time and I've never been on one, so help me out here. If you're on a dating site, I mean, they'll send you a picture, right? Probably not them.
Probably not them.
So when somebody sends this picture, is there something that somebody could do that you go, well, I don't want to be so suspicious, but I want to make sure?
There absolutely is. And for our viewing audience, this might be one level above their technical wherewithal, and so don't be afraid to engage a tech-savvy family member or friend. But through your computer and its mouse, the navigation device, or trackpad, which is the equivalent of a mouse, you can right-click, which brings up a submenu, and copy the image that is on that dating profile. Copy and paste it into a search engine that searches by image rather than keyword. And so if you drop that into, and I'll just say Google search, for example, Google image, more specifically, it will bring back to you every instance where that exact picture or one exceedingly similar to has presented itself on the web. You might find that you're dealing with someone who has taken from a website or from a stock model photography, or other dating profiles where perhaps they've shown up on 10 different websites that are dating oriented under 10 different names. But that's a great way to validate that this person is indeed, or perhaps not, who they're presenting themselves to be.
Right. Yeah, that's all very interesting. People should be aware, and we know that there are lots of examples of very successful dating sites and people that have had lots of success, and they find somebody and they meet, and it's all wonderful. But I guess our biggest thing is be careful.
Absolutely. We are the second fastest age cohort in terms of growth and in terms of utilization of dating sites. But because of that, we are also prime suspects to be scammed. So please be careful and adhere to the counsel and advice that we're providing.
Right. Now, there is also a new twist to this, which I have discovered, and you probably have seen that, and that is not so much asking for money, but getting you to do something with money that helps somebody else. We have a really interesting video. AARP has produced a really nice series of videos out there, and this is sort of a different take on one, if we could take that one right now.
I got contacted by this man. You know, he read me like a book. He had a nice sense of humor, very smooth, very patient, and so that made me feel really comfortable.
I want you to know how much I sincerely love the times we've spent talking, and that love will only grow stronger Your forever love, Mark.
You want to believe it, and therefore you do. He asked me if I would be willing to be the recipient of donations for the orphanage. If I can say yes and help somebody, I'm on it.
He's on 12 different dating websites. His name's Derek or whatever it was. You know, I tried to explain the whole catfish thing to her.
You start thinking, if this is not this person, who is this guy? Because he never asked me for money, my heart just overrode all of that.
My mom can't operate her iPhone. So the fact that my mom was like figuring out how to launder money through a machine at the gas station is like mind-boggling to me.
I am so good at this. Let me tell you, I could give classes on how to do Bitcoin. I changed my emails. I blocked all the calls that come in on those numbers. I cut him off and ended it. That relationship helped me to see what I already had. My kids kept saying to me, Mom, you have a confidence. You have a glow about you. I'm determined to not be a victim and to be the victor.
So you see, there was a real interesting, different kind of a take on the romance scams. I had not heard any of that before, but apparently this is becoming, as the technology gets better and people get more knowledgeable, I guess, that this is a sort of a new twist on it.
I really like this video, Jerry, because it's painfully accurate. And why it's so effective is that the victim does not see themselves as a victim. They think that they're accomplishing the greater good for this nonprofit, this charity, this orphanage, what have you. And what they're actually doing is that they're further facilitating a crime in the making. This is tantamount to money laundering, as the video indicated. And those ill-gotten gains typically result from human trafficking, illegal drugs and narcotics, gun running, and what have you. And so though you may not be losing money personally, what you're engaged in is a criminal enterprise. So I really appreciate you sharing that video.
Right. Now, and how do these end? I'm assuming badly?
They end badly because typically the victim, the senior in this instance, has lost money or been implicated in a crime. And this is one of many imposter scams. They still lead the way here in the state of Nebraska in terms of the most often cited type of fraud or scam that's perpetrated, but they're one of many. And we have seen an increase in imposter scams not only through the telephone, but also through email and increasingly through text messaging.
Yeah, the text messaging one, we sort of got hit up with this one where it just seemed that it was so legitimate because it was somebody, it was an old friend. It wasn't an old friend, but they were purporting to be an old friend and saying, hi, it's such and such. Gee, we haven't talked for a while. How are you? Hope things are well. I have a favor I need to ask of you. And it just sort of kept going on from there. And what they wanted was for us to buy some gift cards and send them to them, and then they would pay us back, of course. And we just kept going, this just seems suspicious.
Text messaging and social media-based friend requests and the like have really been on the rise, especially over the past year or two. So be on the lookout for contact from long-lost friends, maybe somebody that you went to high school with or had some shared experience years ago. The common text messaging in Nebraska of late, there have been three kinds. Reaching out from, for example, online retailers. You might hear from Amazon about someone using your account and account information, or from a bank with a fraudulent notice about activity in your account or a transfer that was denied. And then false package delivery notifications, whether it be from UPS, the Postal Service, or from FedEx. Be on the lookout for all of those and attempt to, if you will, independently verify directly with any of those retailers exactly the story that's coming across on your phone. Because it's on your phone, it seems highly personal, highly targeted. Watch out. That's designed to disarm you into believing that it's true. Independently verify.
Yeah, I like the one that says, here's an invoice of this product that you just purchased. Check it to make sure it's all accurate. And you go, what? I didn't order that.
And what they're attempting to do is to have you either yes or no, approve or disapprove. But it will lead to a call from allegedly that vendor. You're hearing from the scammer directly, and they're reaching out to you by phone to capture further personal information to use ultimately to steal from you further or for identity theft.
Yeah, I got one the other day, and this one seemed pretty legitimate. I probably went further than I should have on it, but it was somebody from the local newspaper saying, gee, we have this great special for you that you can get the newspaper every day for this astronomically low price. And I said, would I get the newspaper? And they said, oh, but the bank has declined to pay for this. And I said, well, I'm going to call the bank and find out what's going on. And they immediately hung up the phone.
Interesting. That is very local, very specific. It has a couple of noteworthy elements. One is the offer too good to be true. You said it was an astronomically low price. The other is that the bank denied the transaction. And that gets to the notion of the text messaging over fraudulent bank notices. So both of those should put you on your guard. And again, independently verify, either with the bank, as you volunteered in this instance, or with the newspaper by calling back into the local newspaper accordingly to verify that the offer or that the offer maker is legitimate.
Right. We are out of time for our first segment. I can't believe how fast it goes. We'll be back with more with Ryan, and in our next segment we want to talk about how you can block callers on your cell phone, and that will help a lot. But don't go away. We need to play these messages.
Smishing is when scammers send text messages to your mobile device to gain access to your personal information. They'll often include a link that takes you to a malicious form or website. Here are ways you can avoid this scam and keep your information private. If you get a text from an organization or company about an issue with your account and there is a genuine concern, don't reply via text message. Instead, contact them directly using a phone number or website you know to be legitimate. Don't reply, even if the message says you can text stop to avoid more messages. That tells the scammer your number is active and can be sold to other bad actors. If you think the text is spam, forward it to 7726, which is a spam reporting service run by the mobile industry. Consider using tools that filter or block unwanted messages. Your mobile device may have built-in spam protection. Check the settings on its messaging app. For more scam tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Scammers are after your Medicare information. Here is what to watch out for. Ads or phone calls offering something for free from Medicare are scams. Criminals want your Medicare number in return for the free items, and they use your number to illegally bill Medicare or to sell it to other criminals. If your Medicare number falls into the hands of a scammer, they may use it to falsely charge Medicare for services you never received. Keep exact records of dates and services you receive and compare them to your Medicare explanation of benefits. If you receive a phone call from someone saying you need to verify your identity because of suspicious activity using your number, hang up. Medicare will never call you out of the blue to verify anything. For more Medicare scam tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Welcome back to Live and Learn. We want to make sure that you understand the process of how you can block phone calls on your cell phones. So I hope you have had the opportunity to grab it. We're going to take you through the process so you can even do that right now. I think it's really, really important. Ryan, we're going to start with the iPhones,
Okay.
but one of the things that we do want to talk about is there is also an app that people can download with their carrier, which is also helpful. Let's at least walk through that part of it too. Maybe people can at least write them down and figure out what they need to do to get those downloaded on their phones.
Very good. I appreciate the mention. This is actually the manifestation of what we've talked in past Live and Learn segments about the Telephone Robocall Abuse Criminal Enforcement and Deterrence Act, known as
the TRACE Act.
The
Yes,
TRACE
okay.
Act.
Good.
So there's a mandate from the federal government that each carrier provide an unwanted call blocking feature. They are brand named per carrier, and so the popular carriers in Nebraska are Verizon with its app Call Filter, AT&T with its app Active Armor, and T-Mobile, formerly Sprint, with its app Scam Shield. If one of those carriers is not your carrier, believe me, they have a brand name option as well. Contact the carrier, download the app to your phone through either the App Store for iPhone or the Play Store through Google. And once that's on your phone, you've got the sundae that is going to be the treat to eliminate these calls. Now we're going to talk about the secret sauce, the cherry on top, what you can do to further block unwanted calls.
Now, when you download the app, you get the icon. You just double click it, and is there a place that says activate or?
It's going to want you to register. You're going to
Okay.
provide your
Okay.
name and your telephone number, and typically nothing more personal than that. And you're going to authorize it to monitor the incoming and outbound calls because it wants to know who you approve of in terms of telephone numbers that you're calling or receiving calls from. Once it learns that, it will block everyone else who's not already a pre-approved contact.
Right. And sometimes people will call you and they're not on your pre-approved list, but it may be something that is valuable. My philosophy always is, if it's important, they'll leave a message.
I agree. And in fact, the secret sauce, this unwanted call blocking or silencing unknown callers, as it might be known, silences the ringer. It still allows the call to register to your call history by phone number and time. And then also, if it's a legitimate call, it allows the user to leave a message. So you're never out of contact. And you can always add that person in if they're legitimate to your contacts so that they're always screened in rather than screened out. But this is really designed to eliminate the spoofer, the scam call who's using somebody else's phone number to get through to you.
Right. Okay, very good. Let's go through this process. We're going to do the iPhones first. So if you have an iPhone, get it out, to get things ready, and here we go. What do we do with an iPhone to block calls?
All right, this is a known feature of the iPhone. And so the first thing that you want to do is on the face of the phone, look for an app that looks like a gear. That gear will be labeled Settings. Tap Settings and it will open. And under Settings, it allows a laundry list of all of the features of the phone where there are settings to be enabled. You're going to have to scroll through that list and maybe scroll down about halfway to 2/3 of the way through the list and find Phone, literally P-H-O-N-E, Phone. There'll be an icon in green that looks like the handset or the receiving element of a landline. Tap it, and under Phone, you're going to find about 1/3 of the way down the page an option that is listed as Silence Unknown Callers. You'll see it's either enabled or disabled. It will say on or off.
Right.
More than likely it says
just slide
off.
the little thing over, right?
Tap
That's all
it,
you
slide it over, it turns on, you're done.
Yeah,
And
it
now-
is as simple as it can possibly be, and
Absolutely.
it has just been so helpful. I need to add the app on, but
And it works in conjunction with the app. That's the important point. So thank you for mentioning that again, because the two together should reduce the volume of unwanted calls. I'm going to say Not 100%, but 90+%.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Is it just as easy on an Android phone?
It is just as easy. There's about one more step involved. You get to the settings function through a different route. On the Android, look for the phone icon on the Android phone. That's either in green or blue. It's the same handset or receiver of a landline phone, but tap it, and then when it pulls up the phone function, go to the upper right-hand corner. The upper right-hand corner, you're going to see 3 black dots. I call them cannonballs. They are stacked. I call that the ellipsis. The ellipsis, as you might know from ... in terms of writing. Mm-hmm. But if you tap that ellipsis, it will pull up a submenu of which settings is one of the menu elements. So tap the ellipsis, find settings, tap settings, and it will take you immediately to the block unwanted calls function. Just like the iPhone, it's a toggle switch. It will likely be off. You slide it over to turn it on. You're done.
Very good. Okay, so lots of people will find that confusing. So do we encourage people to get somebody who is pretty tech savvy to maybe help them with that? And the other thing that I will also mention is that this program does air on YouTube. So if you need to pause it, back it up, just as you walk through the procedure, if you didn't get it done today, that would be pretty simple to do.
Yes, indeed. I believe that we will have a graphic that shows for both the iPhone and for Android the settings functions that I've just gone through. You can also access our website, protectthegoodlife.nebraska.gov. We've posted this there. You can also call our office, and we can provide for you the graphic that has been shared in this video as hard copy. But yes, to your point, a tech-savvy family member or friend, ironically that might have to be your child or more specifically your grandchild.
Right.
They can do this because it's relative child's play for them.
Right, and one of the things that it was very interesting for me, because I had blocked all the callers, and then when I was doing the update on my drug prescription plan this last fall, and somebody was going to call me, and I had to make sure I unblocked it because otherwise that call wasn't going to come through. So a couple of times maybe you need to be careful if you think somebody is going to call you and from a number that you don't know.
Or to be deliberate to add them to your contact.
Yeah.
So you can create a profile within contact and label it for whomever is going to call you, put in their phone number, they're automatically screened in that way.
Right, and of course this one I didn't know what the phone number was going to be or who was going to call me.
But the nice thing is that you haven't lost the history of the caller.
Right.
It goes to your history, they can leave a voicemail, you still can be in contact, you can follow up and then add them post facto.
Okay, very good. Okay, I hope everybody got a chance to do that. I just think it's crucial and it's very invaluable. Let's talk about, I guess I sort of call them the never-evers, the too good to be true kind of a scenario that everybody really should think about during this sort of day and age. And the first one is, never give someone a credit card number unless you have initiated the call.
Absolutely. This gets to one of our primary maxims. If you didn't originate the call, don't give out the information. If someone's asking for your card information, it is likely tantamount to identity theft, which the FCC has confirmed is the dominant driver of identity theft, is ill-gotten gains through fraudulent credit card applications, through fraudulent bank account applications, and through fraudulent loans and leases. But the credit card, the social security number attached thereto, that is the driver. So never give it out.
Yeah, one time I got a phone call from somebody who seemed very legitimate, whether it was, I don't know, cancer or something, and I thought, well, I don't mind giving them some money for this, and they wanted my credit card number, and I said, no, I'm not giving you my credit card number. I said, send me something in the mail.
Absolutely.
And I never heard from them.
Very good. Or direct me to your website.
Yes.
Should be a secure website.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's a great one. Another one is never give out your social security number.
Absolutely not. In fact, I hit this on every segment that we run together, but rather than giving out your Social Security number, freeze your Social Security number with the credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. It will protect you. But when it comes to your Social Security number, you should feel offended when somebody asks you for that. And I encourage the viewing audience to ask a series of questions. Why do you need that information? Why do you need my Social Security number? Will it be shared? If so, with whom? What steps are you taking to protect my Social Security number from unwanted disclosure? And then finally, may I have a copy of your privacy policy, please, because that is a requirement that spells out how they might use and share your personal information. So don't be afraid to challenge. You're within your right.
I like the idea of freezing it. Is that an easy process to go through? I've never...
It's a very easy process. However, it will take, depending on method that you want to utilize, let's say 5 to 10 minutes, be it by phone or online, but you can also use the U.S. mail to enact this. We make this information available through two sources, our brand new Recognizing and Reporting Scams booklet, but more specifically our Identity Theft Consumer Guide. On page 19, we go through the process of what a security freeze does and enables and how it best protects you.
And where can people get a copy of these? I want to make sure before we run out of time that we know people know where they can get some of this material if they're worried about being scammed or if they think they've been scammed.
We'll send them to two avenues. One will be online, and that is our consumer website, protectthegoodlife.nebraska.gov.
Okay, good. And I think we have it right here on our screen. So that's pretty easy to remember, right? Protectthegoodlife.org.
It is indeed. And then we are available locally at 402, I have to stop and think, 471-2682 is our local phone number. Option 1 will get you right to our Consumer Affairs Response Team, and there you'll be talking to a live operator. But you can also reach us anywhere within the state at 1-800-727-6432. Again, option 1 to talk to the live operators of our Consumer Affairs Response Team.
Very wonderful. And we will put these phone numbers up again before the show is over. So if people need to write them down again, we'll give them another opportunity. Here is one that was kind of new for me, and I hadn't even really thought about it, but never give out your personal information like when you have the security questions to be able to get into somewhere, your favorite animal or where you were born or any of those kinds of things.
I appreciate you bringing this up because a lot of this information is scraped from social media sites, Facebook and Instagram most notably. And women, for example, would like to be found on social media perhaps by listing their maiden name. Your mother's maiden name is very frequently a security question.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And so if it's your maiden name, your pet's name, or others, as you have mentioned, I would be very careful in disclosing that on your social media profile because these scammers do build a dossier. They do their research on you before they even begin to approach you because they want to sound convincing, familiar, and the more information that you give away of a personal, confidential nature, the more it's likely pointing to security questions.
Right. Right. And you've sort of mentioned this one, but never ever give out any personal information, age, date of birth, spouse's name, all of those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Again, you're just asking for trouble if you do that.
You really are. You're making the criminal's job easier for them.
Here's one that is, again, has just so many ramifications, but that is your Medicare number. And you should never give anybody that Medicare number.
Never at all. In fact, our viewing audience will know that their Medicare numbers were replaced within the past 5 years and made significantly more complicated to thwart this type of personal information sharing and scam protection. And you may never know, perhaps, that you've been a victim of Medicare fraud because what they're trying to do is submit false claims in your name. And so when you finally need Medicare's help and attention, you might find that you've reached your limit in terms of coverage, that you have no more benefit remaining. So no one should call and ask for that, least of all someone posing as the federal government or CMS, the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Studies. They have the information. They know. They don't need to ask you. They don't need to have you verify. Don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah, and we get lots of phone calls, particularly in October, November, December, when people are looking at new prescription drug plans. But will Medicare ever call you? I mean, do they ever call?
Typically, no. And most of the calls during the Medicare open enrollment period are from people trying to sell the Med Sup or the Med Advantage plans. I would be very, very careful, because though they advertise lower cost, they also entail limited or narrower coverage in exchange for that lower cost, and you might find that you've just made a bargain that you wouldn't have otherwise made under normal circumstances. So approach those calls very, very suspiciously, very, very carefully.
Right. We're going to run out of time. Just a couple of really quick things. Everybody needs somebody that they can trust, that they can go to if something like this happens. So I think we should encourage people to find that person out there, whether it's a friend, whether it's a child, whether it's a neighbor, whoever it is. You got to find somebody to help you that you can bounce these things off of.
Absolutely. First and foremost, do not suffer in silence. You are not alone. If you fear that you've been victimized by a scam, you are going to help yourself in terms of limiting your loss exposure and limiting the length of your recovery by letting one other person know. It has been proven from multiple studies that if you bring someone in, be it a family member, a friend, a trusted advisor, that absolutely to gauge another person's opinion will indeed protect you from further loss or maybe the initial loss at all. So always bring someone into your confidence. Don't suffer in silence. Feel no shame. Let someone know what is bothering you.
And one more time, let's give them the website and let's give them the phone numbers. So if they have any questions or concerns, there is some place that they can go.
We encourage people to go to our website at Protect the Good Life. That's 4 words spelled as one. protectthegoodlife.nebraska spelled out.gov. Then they can reach us locally at 402-471-2682. Option 1 will get them to a live operator. Or toll free across the state at 1-800-727-6432. Again, option 1. And if my name's not on the Chiron, I'm Ryan. You're always welcome to call either of those numbers and ask for me. If I'm in, I'm happy to help you. Reference this show, and we'll make the connection, and I will do whatever I can to be of service.
Ryan Sothan, you are a gem to the state of Nebraska. Thank you so much, and thanks for coming by and talking to us today.
Thanks again for having me.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, it's never too late to live and learn.